Hey Crafty Peeps, I have a mega fall video for you, so let's just get right into it. For this first project, I'm taking 2 of these pumpkins from Dollar Tree. I picked up this little pumpkin from 99-cent store, some sweater fabric I have left over, and some of this cork from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to go ahead and take these apart, these 2 pumpkins from Dollar Tree. Now the little one I got from 99-cent store, you can use one of the little Dollar Tree ornaments if you want, or one of their little smaller pumpkins. And then for the sweater, if you saw my last video where I made a sweater pumpkin wreath, this is left over from that. It was part of the sleeve, so gotta save it and use every part that I can. So I'm just going to show you all the different textures that you can do to make over your pumpkins. And I love mixing patterns and textures. I like metal and burlap, and so that's what you're going to see today. Okay, for this first pumpkin, I'm just going to pull the sleeve of this sweater over the pumpkin, and then I will just glue it down. This pumpkin, I'm using this chicken wire. You can see it's $3.99 at Hobby Lobby. Of course, I got it half off and only paid $2. I have had this in my stash for a year and I have not used it yet. And now that I've used it, I'm excited to use it on more projects. So I'm just going to cut a couple strips off and wrap it around this pumpkin. I'm covering this little pumpkin in this adhesive cork board. I love, love, love this. I love this texture, and I think it works so good for fall. So I'm just going to stick it down on there and cut it out and add that to this little pumpkin. I'm going to take my pumpkins now and assemble them all together. I felt I needed one more pumpkin, so I'm taking one of these mini pumpkins. You get them in 3s, and I'm just going to cut it in half and add it to my project. Now for my favorite part, which is adding ribbon. I love embellishing. This little, this fabric here, this plaid, was from Hobby Lobby, and I did get it last year, I do believe. And I believe that little pumpkin one you see up in the corner is also from Hobby Lobby. I buy my ribbons on clearance typically right after the holiday has passed. So it's like a fun treasure the next year on that holiday to see, oh yeah, I bought all these ribbons. So I have a lot of ribbon and I get it for very inexpensive. So make sure you check out those clearance sales for the next year. You'll also notice in this video and with a lot of my fall videos is that I am keeping it pretty neutral. I like to do creams and browns in that burnt orange color, and then sometimes some of the light, like vintage looking turquoise color. And so that is the color scheme that I use. If you're new here, my name is Lisa, and I love to craft on a budget. And I would also love it if you came over and visited me on Instagram. My Instagram over there is $__mom. I share hauls, decorating ideas, budget items, so I would love it if you joined me over there. So for this first project, I grabbed some of these wood boards from my scrap pile. I buy my scrap wood on Facebook Marketplace because a lot of carpenters and whatnot, and they sell what they have left over. And I just buy like a crate for a certain amount. So it works out great. So I went ahead and I painted them all white with my Rust-Oleum linen white paint. And I'm going to take the 3 different sizes here, and those are going to be my pumpkins. And then I went into my Cricut design space, and I decided how big I wanted the letters, and then I went ahead and I cut out vinyl. I used the font Aphasia BT, and I did 3.5 inches tall by 3 inches wide, and I will link that down below so you will have the spelling and everything. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put my vinyl down and peel it up, and that will put the letters down on my pumpkins. I thought this looked so high-end. However, if you don't have a Cricut machine, you can use stickers, you can paint the letters yourself. But either way, loved how it looked. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of the dollar store has these wood pieces. I found one bag one time, and what I wouldn't give to find a whole bunch of them. So I really hope you guys can find them because these make the best pumpkin tops. However, don't despair because I think a lot of us have sticks in our yards that could easily work. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some E6000 on there and hot glue. And I do that because the hot glue kind of gives it an instant adhering, and the E6000 gives it a more permanent adhesive. So go ahead and I will put those on the tops of my 3 pumpkins. I'm using the wired jute from Dollar Tree, and I realized I said dollar store in the last one, but I meant Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree all around. I don't have a dollar store. Dollar Tree. Okay, so I'm taking the wired jute and I'm just going to wrap it around a pen, anything you have, and I'm just going to make the little curlicues that will come out of the pumpkin stems. And I'll make 3 of those. I grabbed these leaf ornaments from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab 3 of those, and I'm going to give them a wood stain look with the Waverly Antique Wax. And I love this product because it gives it that like I said, stain look. I'm going to grab a little bit of this wood filler, and I'm going to fill in the holes here to my ornaments since they're not going to be ornaments. And so this will just fill those holes. After it dries, I just give it a light sanding to get it smooth, and then I will paint them. Now it's time to start attaching things. So I take my little curlicues and I just lightly wrap them around the stem. I don't want to cause too much weight on that stem, so I just lightly put it on there, and then I'll dab a little glue on it. And then I'll go ahead and obviously I'm going to put a little hot glue on my leaf, and I will put that down. And then I'm just going to take some of these ribbons that I've picked up. Some are from Dollar Tree. Actually, I think all of these ones are from Dollar Tree. And I'll just make some bows, and I will just spruce this up. As you see, the lighting changes in the video right there. That means that one of my kids has walked into my studio and opened the door wide. And it's beautiful light, but it's way, 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 way too hot to have that door open. Where I live, it's about 105 degrees, so really trying to get those fall vibes coming, because I am tired of this hot weather. Okay, and I'm also just going to add a little bit of raffia with my bows just to give it a little bit more of that rusticness. And once all of these are decorated to my liking, I will go ahead and I will put my pumpkins on the last board, the fourth board, to make it a stand. I loved this project so much I wanted to make sure you could make it too in case you didn't have the scrap wood. So I grabbed 3 of these out of the pack of a Dollar Tree. It's like a little wood planks, I think they call them. And I'm just going to cut 2 of them down so that I have a shorter one and a medium-sized one. And I did the same thing again with my fall cricket vinyl. I just used the exact same font, and I just sized it down to what I chose for this. Again, just kind of measure the area, decide, you know, what you have. So if you have a 2 by 4 inch area you're wanting to cover on your screen, just size it to that. And again, I'm going to do a very similar, this project is very similar, but it's just a miniature version. So I go ahead and after I get everything cut down, I will paint it again in the Rust-Oleum linen chalk paint, and I'll put my vinyl on. I will dazzle it up with some stems and ribbon and whatnot. And then I'm going to add it to this really cute frame that I found. It was the exact color blues I use in my fall decor, and I was like, this is all working out perfectly. For the stem, I'm just going to use some of the leftover wood plank. I'll go ahead and glue some of the jute twine and just wind it all the way around. For this project, I'm taking one of these orange pumpkins and I painted it white with my Rust-Oleum white chalk paint. And then I'm using one of these snow slip mats that you put underneath your rug. And I picked this up just for the fact that I love the texture of it. And so I'm going to be covering this pumpkin with this mat. And that's why I had to paint it white. Now you actually could leave it orange and that would make a really cool look too. So what I do is I just start with a little bit of glue and then I'm just going to fold it around. Because of this texture, didn't want a ton of pleats, and so I'm very careful with kind of how I wrap it around the pumpkin. I'll grab one of these little stems from the Dollar Tree. Don't worry if you haven't found them because they're free in your yard. So I just add that down. And then I grabbed one of these burlap leaves from a pack from the Dollar Tree. And they're typically too big for my projects. They're large. So I cut them down quite regularly. Sometimes I'll cut them down in the same shape they come in. And then sometimes I'll do this shape, which is just, your regular leaf shape. And I'm going to take the wire part and wrap it around to make that little squiggle. So what would you call that? But that's one of my favorite parts of the pumpkin is the little spiral that comes out. And I decide that I really like that spiral and I want another one. So I just rip off another piece of wire off another leaf and add that other squiggle. I picked up this necklace from Hobby Lobby spring clearance. I got it for, I believe, $1, and I liked it because it had these neutral colored beads. And so I'll just kind of cut this down and I'll tie a knot on each end of where I cut it, and I'm just going to loop it around my pumpkin to give it a little extra. At the time of filming this DIY, I did not score one of the Dollar Tree trucks with pumpkins, and so I grabbed this one out of my stash from Joann's that has eggs in it, but I'll cover those up. So I'm going to need some paint in steel, and again in this cascade, and some of these little pumpkins from Dollar Tree. This is a big, large pumpkin from Hobby Lobby that I got last year on clearance, but they do have them again this year. Or you could cut one out of like foam board if you like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover this truck in this cascade paint and the tires in the steel gray. These little styrofoam pumpkins from Dollar Tree, I'm just going to take them apart and cut them in half, and this is what I'll use to cover up those eggs. And then I'm going to cut up some of this raffia and make it look like hay. How you can change it into a different one. So this one from Easter to fall, and you would never know there was eggs. I like the look of the natural wood this pumpkin has, but I'm going to just give it a little bit something with this cashew and hazelnut Waverly chalk paint, just to give it a little bit of depth. I'm just going to, with the cashew, I'm just going to go around the pumpkin and then go where like the curves would be, and then I will paint the stem with the hazelnut. To make this bow, I'm going to fold this over 4 times. And so as you saw earlier, I was just folding it in half because I wanted to see how big my bow would be once I cinched it in the middle. For stiffer ribbon like this, I just give it a little cut just to make it a little easier to cinch that center. And then once I get that done, you can use wire or a chenille stem, pipe cleaner, if that's what you call it, some jute, that's what I'm using. This is just what I took off the top of that big pumpkin. And I'll tie that up, and then I'm just going to fluff out my bow. And I felt like my bow needed a little something extra, and so I'm going to take that tan plaid ribbon above there, and I will make another little bow and add it to this one. As I said before, I'm just going to sand down this wood filler to make everything smooth, and then I'll paint this stem with the hazelnut. And then it's just time to attach everything, and this project is complete. So I have a bunch of just plain pumpkins like this. I picked this one up, I do believe, at the Target dollar spot. And then I've got these ribbons from Dollar Tree. And this felt garland, I do believe I got at the 99-cent store. I knew that I would probably just tear it apart. Some burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. And then I just printed out on my computer a couple different sayings in the skinny font. Autumn wishes, pumpkin kisses, what did I put? Happy fall. And that way I can just make a bunch of tags for my pumpkins. Just spruce them up so they're not so plain. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this first one out that says autumn wishes, and I will cut it into a tag shape. I'm going to attach this tag onto a piece of this burlap ribbon just to give it kind of a frame. So a lot of times with these pattern ribbons, they kind of only look good going one way. And so that was kind of the case with this one, or it's one-sided. So sometimes I just like to mix them up, and I'll just make tails out of the pattern one, and I'll tie a bow with the other one. And so that's what I did with this one. And now it's just a matter of gluing everything down, and that gave this plain pumpkin a super cute makeover. This is a fun, quick, easy project. I grabbed 3 of these wood craft cubes from Dollar Tree and some of the wood stems also from Dollar Tree. And then I'll be using these paints, the Waverly in Pumpkin, the Waverly in Ivory, and this Folk Art, which is in Cascade. And I picked that up at Walmart, I believe. I got these rub-ons from the Dollar Tree. You can see I've used them before. They just have words all over them in different fonts, and it's just so cute. And so I just kind of flip through here till I find 3 words that will work, and when I do that, I cut them out and just rub them right onto these blocks. I'll just use some hot glue to glue the stems on. And you can find stems like this in your yard. You can use, I've seen people use cinnamon sticks. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do for the stems. And then I'm going to just take some of this raffia and I'm going to wrap it around a couple times. And then I'm going to make a bow out of the raffia, and then this project will be complete. For this project, I'm using 2 of the pumpkin wreath forms. I picked up this sweater from the Salvation Army, and I'm going to go ahead and spray paint the forms white just because they're going to show through a little bit if they're black. And then I'm going to take just some of this wire I got in the automotive section at Dollar Tree. I'm going to wire in various little points around the form to hold it together. Now I'm going to put the sweater over the pumpkin form. Really, it's like putting it on a hanger. So it was really easy just to get over the top. And I actually had used part of the sleeves of this sweater on a project last year, and I'm going to cut off quite a bit, and I'm still going to be able to use it for a third project. So really good deal. You can find one of these at a garage sale, or maybe you have a sweater you don't want to wear anymore. So this is what it looks like when it's on the form. So now I'm just going to pinch the top and fold it over and just use my glue gun. And I kind of think of this like when you're sewing, you're just going to fold in both sides and then glue. For the stem, I'm just going to wrap some of this twine all the way around this wire stem here, and then I'm going to make a bow and add it to this pumpkin along with some of the Dollar Tree burlap leaves, and then again this project is complete. For this last project, I wanted to kind of get back to my roots, which is scrapbooking and paper crafting. I have an entire craft shed full of scrapbook supplies, so that means stickers and buttons and brads and you name it, I probably have it. And so I really wanted just to fully make over one of these pumpkin signs with as many textures and things as I could. And so I start that here by using some of this Dollar Tree contact paper. And I'm going to use it actually on both sides, so it'll be a finished project. And this was all inspired by Linda over at Faith Chick 777. I will link her down below. Oh, I love her paper crafting, how she adds it into her crafting. So inspiring, and that is why I wanted to make this project. So it's a little bit more advanced, and it's not necessarily things you can just go out and buy all these little tiny things, but if you're a craft hoarder like myself, go into your stash, find a bunch of little fun things, and just start adding them to your project. As I said that, it reminded me, you can use things like bottle caps and bread ties and, pieces of straw. Like, just think outside the box. Think of things that have texture that you could add to a project. So I have this piece of scrapbook paper that kind of looks like leather, and I traced out the pumpkin, but I don't want this piece of paper to be as big, so I don't want to cover the spot where I had the contact paper. But I also want to give this a different look. So what I've done is I've drawn a little bit smaller of a pumpkin on the back, and then I'm taking my paintbrush and water, and I'm watering along that line, and it just makes it so that you can tear the paper really easy. And again, that just adds another element of texture, having it be torn. For the next element of texture, I'm using that same rug anti-slip mat. And I'm going to do the same thing here where I cut it down smaller than this brown piece of scrapbook paper. So now I just kind of start laying stuff down. I start playing around with the different things I have pulled out from my stash. I won't be using everything, but I'll start using some of the things. For the little slip mat, I just glue it down in the middle there because I know I'm going to be putting something over that area, so it's not going to matter if the glue shows through. And then I'll just yeah, like I said, I'm just going to keep kind of pushing things down. I'm going to add a little bit of this glue because it does dry clear, and so that will work. And this is another piece of scrapbook paper that kind of looks like linen. This piece, this grateful wood piece there I got from Hobby Lobby, I do believe, but I know Michaels and Joann's carry them too. So, and then I'm going to take my little ink pad here in Java, which is a brown color, and I'm just going to ink the edges of my paper here and just add a little bit of distressing around. So I know I'm moving rather quickly through this project, but I'm really just trying to give you a visualization of the different textures that I use and how I just start layering different items. So as you see, I'm putting a little bit of burlap on the stem, and then I'm going to use that big old leaf again. I love those leaves, and I'm going to cut it down, and I'm actually going to make 3 leaves out of this. And I'm just going to start playing around with some of my ribbon here from Dollar Tree, as well as some of the burlap from Dollar Tree. I got this little, who knows where this little tag is from, in my stash, and this other little tag too. But I do know you can buy these little, I don't know how you say it, ephemera, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to say that word, but little pieces at the scrapbook section. I had this little leather frame this little tiny frame. I guess you could put it around somebody's face in a picture. Grab some of these little leaf buttons, and then I'm just going to start layering everything down. I'm gonna just take my paintbrush and dip it into the ink pad and then just kind of go around this grateful just to give it a little bit more of an aged look and to make it pop off the paper a little bit more. Isn't it funny how my little ink pad's just kind of jumping around when I have it in fast motion like that? And then I'm just gonna add a few more little embellishments. Then I'm gonna take one of the little chipboard pumpkins from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cover it in the ink from the chalk pad. And then I'll use one of those little white rub-ons, and then I will add that to my project. For this project, you're going to need some white chalk paint, some florals, some rub-ons or stickers, ribbon, one of these wood pumpkins from Dollar Tree, and some floral foam or something that you can put your stems into. First, I'm just going to give this pumpkin a coat of this Rust-Oleum linen chalk paint, and I'm going to use the smooth side of this for the front of this project. With my rub-on letters, I'm going to cut out all the letters that will spell "It's a farmhouse fall." So just cut those out little by little, and then I will mark my pumpkin so that I'll know where to place these, and then I will just start rubbing them on. And if you can't find these rub-ons at Dollar Tree, you can also use black stickers or your Cricut vinyl cutter, or you can just freehand it. I cut this little chunk off the floral foam. It comes in a much bigger chunk, but this will fit just perfectly down inside this. And then I'm going to take some of this lamb's ear and some of this cotton stems. The lamb's ear, I believe, is actually from Joann's, but I know Walmart carries it too. And then some of the cotton stem is from Dollar Tree, and I'll cut that in half. And I'm just going to go ahead and place those around till I like the arrangement. The little pumpkins you can see up there in the corner, they come in a kind of yellowy creamy color, so the same color paint I used to cover my pumpkin container there, I also coated the pumpkin so that it would all match. I'll just finish this off with a simple black gingham ribbon bow, and this project will be complete. I just think it screams farmhouse. Well, it literally screams farmhouse because that's what it says. But really, I just love this arrangement with the white pumpkins, and it just really fit in with my decor. For this project, you'll need this Thankful and Blessed sign from Dollar Tree, and then this wood looking sticker, I guess you would call it, also from Dollar Tree. I guess it can be used on like your wall as like a backsplash, but I'm going to use it on this pumpkin. And I love mixing textures. That is one of my favorites. I like metals and woods and natural things, so I thought this is going to be a really cool pumpkin. So I go ahead and I just flip my pumpkin over, and this, like I said, it is adhesive and it is very sticky. So I'm going to go ahead, and it's just like the perfect size. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick it down on top of my pumpkin, and then I will cut around it. And you'll see me fiddle a little bit with cutting because it is so sticky. I'm going to use some of this new, I guess you would say white or cream nautical rope that the Dollar Tree is carrying. One pack will be enough. I'm going to go ahead and just put it around my pumpkin, so you can see just hot glue, and just kind of give it that 3D look. And like I did in the last project, I'm going to glue this twine to the back of my stem and just wrap it around to make that jute twine stem. And now it's time to embellish with a ribbon. I do believe I got this ribbon either from Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Control mixed textured pumpkin will be complete. To start off this fall bouquet, I'm gonna take my Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen and I'm gonna cover this tin pot from the Dollar Tree. And it took me a couple coats to get it to how I wanted it to look. And I'm just so excited about this project. I think it's one of my favorites so far that I've made for fall. So stay tuned, I hope you like it too. So I used some of this Waverly chalk paint in hazelnut, and I painted this metal word. It comes in a 3-pack. It has welcome, harvest, and I think thankful. So I already painted the harvest again in the hazelnut chalk paste. And now I'm just gonna kind of age, I guess you could say, not age, rust, I guess it's kind of the same thing, the outside of my pot. And I'm just going to brush it on very lightly, kind of dry brush. Since I'm using one of these, I don't really dry brush all that well, but I'm just going to try to get a little bit of paint and then just like I said, wipe it on slowly. If you get too much, see how I have those two kind of globs? That will bug me. So no problem, all you do is just grab some of the white paint you originally used and then you just lightly brush over those spots. And that's how you're gonna get the best look. It's just kind of going back and forth between the paints unless you don't mess up with the brown. And so when I'm done doing this around the tin, I'm just gonna add more of a solid paint around the rims, the bottom and the top rim. There you go, see like that. And that just gives it that look that I'm going for. And I'm going to use this ribbon that I got at Hobby Lobby. It's normally $8. I either got it for half off or on clearance. I kind of think I got this one on clearance last year. I almost always pick up my ribbon on the after season clearance, and I get so much ribbon for very inexpensive. So I recommend you do that. Hit those after season clearance sales. All right, so as you can see, I'm just wrapping this ribbon all the way around my pot and just hot gluing it on both ends. Now, because of the shape of this pot, it gets kind of a little gap on the side. You see that? So all I do is I just pinch that gap, and I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue and just fold it over. And you can't even tell. It looks really nice. Yeah, because that gap would drive me nuts. So can you see how many things would drive me nuts? Anyhow, so yep, just a little bit of glue, and you get a nice tight fit with your ribbon. Now I'll take the little harvest metal sign that I got, that I painted here, and I'm going to put it on with E6000. I don't recommend hot glue on these metal pieces. It does not stay. So just use some E6000 or some other glue that you have. Okay, so I picked up this bouquet of fall flowers at Walmart for only $5, and this is a really full bouquet. I think you can see that. It would probably take you 5 stems of Dollar Tree flowers to equal this, so really it's the same amount of deal that you would get if you got it at Dollar Tree. Now when I put my green foam in, you'll notice I didn't take the plastic wrap off. It is so nice, you just keep it on. It doesn't get crumbly, you don't make a mess, and the picks all poke through the plastic, no problem. So as you see here, I'm just going to cut off every single pick off of this big bouquet. It'll be easier for me to arrange the bouquet this way. Okay, and so what I really want to do with this bouquet is I want to add some big pumpkins. So I picked this one up at Dollar Tree. I don't want the top, this orangey color, because I'm going for a totally browns and neutral theme here. So I go ahead and I take the topper off. I don't recommend pulling it. I had better luck when I twisted it off. It came off much easier. And then since it's plain on the top, you could either add your own little stem, or I just added the little yellow berries back on top because I thought that looked cute too. And so like I picked up 2 of these cream pumpkins that I use in this. And then you'll see that I also grabbed one of the burlap pumpkins that Dollar Tree has out this year. I just think that is so awesome that they just came out with a plain burlap pumpkin. Look at how cute it is. And then I grabbed these little pumpkin picks. Last year they were, the ones I found were white, and this year they're like a really yellowy, creamy color, which worked great. And then I'm going to grab 3 skewers for my pumpkins. All these pumpkins are styrofoam, so the skewer goes right in. And then I will just kind of play around with the heights, and I will cut the skewers to size how I like. So I put the 3 pumpkins in first because really my arrangement is going to go around the pumpkins. I want them to kind of be the focal point. So I'll put those in first, and then I just kind of, start poking the other picks through until I like what I get. And I'm no florist. I haven't done a lot of flower arranging, but I just think this turned out fantastic. Like I said in the beginning, it's one of my most favorite fall things I've ever made. For this project, you're going to need 4 wood letters. I picked these up from the Target dollar spot last year, and one of these felt, I don't know if they're placemats or what they are, but this is from the Dollar Tree. And this is just kind of like, this is actually mat board that I had. I don't even know, it has kind of a texture look. Originally, this project was supposed to be used with these boards, and I needed 3 of them, and then I accidentally used one of the boards for another project. So that's what I recommend you do, is pick up 3 of those boards. But yeah, silly me, I used it for something else. And so I just found that mat board, and I was like, this will work. Okay, so I'm just going to paint these letters with the Hazelnut Waverly chalk paint. And I just kind of give it a light coat. I like the wood look it gave with the lighter coat. So this side is very glittery. I do not want the glittery part, so I'm going to flip it over. As you know with glitter, it transfers onto other things, and there is some glitter on the back of this. So I just take my lint roller and I kind of run it over it and get some glitter off of it. Of course, there were still a few little sparkles here and there, but no big deal, not a lot of glitter. So then after I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this down to my mat board. I'm going to use just regular old Elmer's glue, and then I'll use just a couple dots of hot glue just to hold it in place until my glue dries. And voila! Alright, so now I'm going to take some of this wired jute. This is the first time I've used it. I am so excited about it because obviously if it's wired, it's a lot easier to work with. And so I go ahead and I thread it through my last letter first, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of a curlicue by wrapping it around a pen. Then I'm going to kind of guesstimate how much I'm going to use, and I will cut the little piece long so I can start threading it through the other letters. Now, if you're like me, you try something the hard way first, and then you go, oh, there's a much easier way. And so I will share that with you. When you cut this jute, it starts to kind of unravel. And so it does not thread very well. And so what I recommend, and I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but just wrap a piece of tape around the end so it's easier to thread. And don't do it the hard way like I did, which was trying to shove it through, which just made it unravel more. And so anyhow, between the letters, I do a little curlicue just to add a little more interest, kind of like it's a banner. Makes every Dollar Tree project better. I don't know, I love it. I use so much of it. I usually pick up 3 or 4 rolls every time I'm there because I love nautical rope. And I think it works perfect for this project. So just easy as it is, I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around this sign. And then I will finish off this project with a little bow. I don't know where I picked up this particular ribbon. It's been in my stash for a while, but I'm just going to tie a regular bow just like you tie your shoes. And you'll see I'm a little bit methodical with my bows. I mess with them until I find them to be of satisfactory. So I was just kind of pull and twist and pull and twist until everything looks straight and there's no weird twists. And then I'll just cut the dovetails at the bottom and I'll add it on to my stem of my pumpkin. And this project will be complete, and I just think it makes a great fall sign. For this last project, I took one of the orange styrofoam pumpkins from Dollar Tree. I just lightly spray painted it white just so that the orange wouldn't show through. And then I grabbed this piece of burlap from the 99-cent store. You can get burlap like this from any of the craft stores. And this is what I'm going to cover this pumpkin in. Go ahead and I cut out a circle from the top. This will be how I hold the fabric into place. I will go ahead and just cut off any excess fabric because I won't need the whole piece. Then I'm just going to start pushing it into the hole, folding it, pushing it into the hole, and doing this all the way around. I'm going to use the same nautical rope from the last project, and it's two pieces intertwined, so I'm going to undo those so that it's just a thinner piece. And I go ahead and I just wrap it all the way around and feed it right back into that same hole that I was putting the burlap fabric in. I'll take another one of these stems and I'll just push it right into the pumpkin. As you can see, I didn't even really have to use adhesive here because everything just kind of stayed in place into that hole. I grabbed one of these metal leaves off another one of those signs that I had from the last sign. I bought several of them and I just love the metal leaves that come on them. I'm just gonna spruce this up with some twine and this project will be complete. Now I'm going to give this pumpkin a makeover with this fun, fluffy brown fabric. I don't even know why I have this fabric in my stash, but it was there and I thought, ooh, that's going to make a luxurious little pumpkin makeover. And then I just wanted to give it kind of an over-the-top bow and show you a different way to make over another pumpkin. All right, here's a tip. So when you use your little spongy paint brushes, don't throw away the stick that it's on. They pop off really easy. And then you have all these little sticks you can use for different projects, and in this case, it makes a great stem. So I'm just wrapping some of the burlap ribbon around it, and voila, I have a stem. And so now I'm just going to take some of these ribbons, and like I said, I'm going to make kind of more of an over-the-top bow. So these two ribbons, the thicker ones, the striped one here and the one with the pumpkins, I got these on clearance last year from Walmart for 23 cents. Can you believe that? Oh my goodness, if they had had more, I would have bought more. But 23 cents, I'm so excited. So yeah, super cute. So I'm just gonna add these ribbons, and I do say before you tie them all together, do the dovetail first. I did it the hard way. So learn from me, dovetail them first, and then tie them together. Okay, now for this little cutie pie makeover. These are those little mini pumpkins. I used one in the first project, and these are so cute to make over with just some ribbon. And you know how you see those fillers that you can put in a basket? You could make some of these, paint some, leave some plain, put some ribbon around some, and put them in one of those bowls as a filler. Oh my gosh, it would be so cute. So I just want to show you how you can make over just a cute little pumpkin in just a matter of minutes. For this pumpkin makeover, I've got one of these signs from Dollar Tree, some more of that fur fabric, and some more of the sweater fabric. And if I didn't make it clear in the very beginning project with the sweater, I had bought a sweater at the thrift store and I covered one of the pumpkin wreath forms, and I have the sleeves left, and I actually made another project last winter with it. So that sweater has gone a long way. Also, as you can see, I popped off the 3D pieces. They did not pop off as easily as I thought they would, so be careful if that's a way you choose to do it, because I struggled a little bit, but they were intact. So now I'm just going to glue my fur fabric on, and then I will cut around the pumpkin. Now I'll glue the sweater pieces onto the 3D parts of the pumpkin, and I'm just going to use a glue stick. I don't want any glue to show through since, you know, there is holes in the sweater, and so this worked just fine. Okay, and now I'm just going to attach those 3D pieces back down onto the fur part of the pumpkin. And before I do that, I'm just going to take some of this burlap ribbon again and wrap it around the stem and glue it. And of course, what pumpkin isn't complete without a bow? And so again, you're seeing the same ribbon. I just love this ribbon. And I'm gonna just add a big bow onto it. And this little pumpkin is done. You could add a saying across it if you wanted, or add another one of those little tags that I showed in one of the previous projects. But I just love how this turned out. So many textures. That's just, oh, I love all the textures. What do you think? Okay, this project I'm using one of these little palette signs from Dollar Tree along with 4-letter wood letters also from Dollar Tree that I'll paint with this cashew colored Waverly chalk paint. And then these little wood pumpkins that I also picked up from Dollar Tree. Now this was from last year, but I do believe they are there this year. I know fall stuff is still being put out. And then once I get these little letters painted, I'm going to go ahead and paint my palette. So this is actually Waverly Wax in the color Antique. Never used it before, but it kind of just gives it that stain look. It was just in my stash from somewhere, and that's what I used. So I just used a light coat, and I love how it gave that, like I said, stained look. So then I'm going to grab some raffia, also from Dollar Tree. You get 3 of these bundles in a package, and I'm just going to wrap it around the top and tie a knot and just kind of give it that pumpkin patch fall look. Then it's just a matter of gluing down the letters in the pumpkin. I'm using this wood glue also from Dollar Tree. And then this little palette project will be complete. I think that it will look cute in a tier tray. It's a little big, so it depends how big your tier tray is, but definitely a nice little filler piece for your fall decor. I hope you enjoyed this fall video today. If you did, then look forward because I have more to come. Until next time, happy crafting!